Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Thunderwolves? Well, it is not, in fact, a sequel to Star Wolves. That would be a little bit weird. It's got nothing to do with that, and it's definitely got nothing to do with the Thundercats. That in itself is actually quite disappointing, I would imagine, to a lot of you. But this is Thunderwolves. It is about helicopters, and it is about 90s nostalgia and nonsense. Let's go into the options menu. You're not gonna like this. Well, it's not that great. Resolution option and video quality settings, of which there are like 5, I think. Yeah. The game requires a restart when you change this, which is pretty bad. VSync on or off. Locks to 120 otherwise, which is absolutely fine. Doesn't need to be more than that. But it's nice to have the option there if you end up getting tearing. Configuration, you have mouse speed right here. I'd strongly recommend you actually adjust this. And I'm going to do that right now because the mouse speed is a little bit weird. And then you've got your keyboard and mouse configuration. Now, you cannot rebind this unless there is a .config file that allows you to do it. There are 3 different controller configurations that you can switch between. Not necessarily the most helpful. I would imagine this could be difficult for left-handed gamers, but not being a left-handed gamer, it's a little bit difficult for me to tell whether or not that is the case. It would be nice to have full key rebinding, no question about that. Controller config is exactly the same thing, 3 different preset controller configurations, rather than allowing you to actually change it yourself. I feel that this is pretty unacceptable in today's market, and I would strongly recommend that developers in future remember that it's a good idea to let people actually choose their own bloody keys. Alright. Let's go into the game then, shall we? There's local co-op, which obviously I will not be doing. And then we've got single player. So what is the game all about? Well, it is a helicopter action game. It's done in third person behind the helicopter. And it also has this 90s cheese within it. You're going to see that in the dialogue. There's going to be so much dialogue, most likely, in this mission. You will have to just grin and bear it. The subtitles will be on. I'll try and let you hear as much of it as I can. But there's so much of it. It's so incidental that it's going to interrupt me regardless of when I'm talking. So I will have to talk over it. My apologies for that. All right, let's get into it, shall we? This is Mission 3. Operation Black Gold. An oil sheik hired us to protect his assets from a local terrorist group. The Thunderwolves, I assume, are some kind of mercenary helicopter crew. If we go through what I've seen previously here, you've got different ranks. Got a rank 3 on that one, in the Chemical Brothers mission. Operation Black Gold is the one that I'm currently on. Very cool. I think this indicates that there are pickups. I'm not sure what this means. It doesn't tell me. Maybe there's like a hostage rescue, kind of choplifter style going on there. Let's get back out of that. That's a possibility, but the game never tells you what this means. These are weapon pickups that you can winch into your particular helicopter. All right, so they do not... Oh, damn it. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Let's fix this before we even go any further, because this is just ridiculous. I just knock the music level down a little bit. Sound levels up. There we go. That should be a little bit better. Let's try that.
To do as we ask. Therefore, we will now motivate you with a preview of what is to come if you don't comply. Holy shit!
Wolf 1, this is Groundhog, you copy?
Groundhog, this is Wolf 1. I copy you. Go ahead.
Our Black Hawk's wrecked. We're grounded and surrounded with no exit. Any chance for some air support?
Sit tight, brother. We'll get you out. There they are! On the helipad!
We've got to clear the rig's interior.
We'll make sure no one attacks you from the other platform. Wolf 1 to Groundhog. Activity on the rigs is minimal, but I've got thermal readings that show more hostiles inside.
Thanks, Wolf 1. We'll find them.
Alright. So there you go. There's the amusingly cheesy voice acting that will continue throughout the entire game. That is, of course, deliberate. They are trying to evoke that very specific kind of vibe. It's very G.I. Joe-esque, I tend to find. There's a lot of crazy 90s stuff in here. The first mission was particularly good because there was a lot of arsing around in it. Now it's kind of getting a little bit serious. Now, I did want to show you the selection of helicopters available. This is very clearly a knockoff of the Black Shark, not officially licensed. But, unfortunately, clicking on it starts the mission immediately. You actually have to click on the arrow to the side, which is pretty dumb. I mean, you should never really have that. It's very easy to accidentally do it. I don't lead to the target against this guy. Or we can just shoot him with that. That works too. So, This game, in terms of its gameplay, actually reminds me of a more modern version of Desert Strike, which was one of my favorite old EA games from the early 90s. It's called a helicopter game, and it was pretty awesome. It was damn hard, if I recall correctly, but my god, it was a cool game. It was so much fun to actually play, and the helicopter handling was really, really cool as well. Actually evoked an arcadey sense of flying a helicopter in probably the way that you would have expected from flying a helicopter in an arcadey manner, and it kept it fun, which was pretty nice. This game actually has a fairly similar handling scheme, although this time around, of course, I'm doing it with a keyboard and mouse. Now you can aim with the mouse, and that allows you to fire your weapons as well. I'm trying not to kill the oil rig while I'm on it. Apparently... Oh, never mind. I guess we're going to be blowing that up. You know what? I'll probably just blow the oil rig up. I'm sure it'll be fine. Won't be an issue. There we go. So you shoot and you aim with the mouse, and then you can control it with WAS and D. Q and E will raise and lower your altitude, which seems to work pretty well.
You've got some kind of tanker modified for combat coming from the southwest.
When you say modified, what do you mean exactly?
I'm seeing 5 anti-aircraft batteries on deck and several dozen terrorists.
A challenge! Or a death sentence?
Alright, here we go. This is going to get very interesting all of a sudden. Yeah, tanker. Yeah, that's clearly sensible. The game actually does not take itself seriously in any way, shape, or form. The whole dialogue that's going on with it is very tongue-in-cheek, which I very much like. It's pretty cool. Things are starting to get a little bit messy over here. Uh-oh. Lots of missiles coming in this general direction. The cutscenes as well very much evoke that 90s feel. It seems like that's really what they were looking to do there, as well as having the terrible rock music in the background. Okay. Let's try and take these guys out. Now, you can also boost in various different directions, which will allow you to evade a lot of missiles coming at you. And it's like, don't let your health get too low, is what it frequently tells you. But here's the weird thing about that. You don't have a health bar. All the damage kind of appears in shattered glass panes around the side of the window. And yet, when you fight a boss, that actually has an energy bar. In fact, you can see the commandos here have energy bars, which is really weird. Why would you give some of the enemies energy bars but not give yourself one? It's really, really strange, quite frankly. And it's actually kind of annoying, because I don't really know how much punishment I can take. Now, if I don't have that kind of information available to me, I don't know how many risks I can take. So I can't make an informed decision in the middle of combat. And yes, it's a fairly simple arcade game, but still. What's the point? I mean, what is the reason for the discrepancy there between the two things? It's really, really odd. There we go. A down, and you are finished. Very, very nicely indeed. Now, the actual combat is pretty fun, honestly, and it is mostly because it is very Desert Strikey. The idea of being able to drift backwards and forwards and actually keep firing in the process, launching missiles, rockets, they regenerate as well, which is really nice, considering if you have limited amounts of secondary ammunition, the combat will get pretty boring. And the reason it will get boring is because holding down the left mouse button for the main gun is not particularly interesting at all. No, absolutely not. So, being able to just launch volley after volley of rocket pods or missiles at the target do make things significantly more interesting. Here's what doesn't make things interesting. Good lord. This. There are on-rails shooting segments in this game for no apparent reason. I have no idea why. Did they decide, oh yeah, you know what would be a really good idea? Yeah, we'll do the on-rail shooting segments so that it'll break up the action. Stop that. Any developer that thinks that's a good idea, quit it right now. It does not break up the monotony of the action. It is monotonous. It is incredibly infuriating. And also in this game, it makes it abundantly clear that the game is very obviously not designed to be looked at too closely. Because you end up getting a situation where the animations are really obviously bad. And as a direct result, it's embarrassing to look at. Now, if you're like a couple hundred meters away and you're bombarding them with rocket fire and things like that, it doesn't really matter that much if you have really high quality models. If you're zooming in with a sniper rifle, then it really, really does matter. That's very problematic indeed. That's a very stupid thing to do. Why they would give you a sniper... I mean, this doesn't even feel like a sniper rifle segment. It's just a really slow turret segment. Why they would give you that in the middle of it, I have no idea. Thankfully, a lot of them don't last too long, but there's one in the second mission where it just takes control of your helicopter where it's like, oh yeah, I'll fly it now, you shoot. No, I want to do both. The game's good when you let me do that. And it is, like, I love the speed boost, actually. Like, that's super arcadey. It feels absolutely awesome just to be able to randomly speed boost. But look at that, how fast you can move this frickin' thing. It's pretty cool. You could dodge rockets just by being really awesome. I'm actually kind of surprised there isn't a flip option. I mean, they could have gone even further into the sort of Airwolf vibe with this game, but they didn't for some reason. And that feels great. The main gun is not particularly interesting to use, but since you've got a plentiful supply, a regenerating supply of rockets and missiles, you can vary things up quite nicely. And the air-to-air combat's pretty good too. The choppers will actually put up something of a fight and they'll actually be a challenge. And then it goes into these awful cutscenes with a really, you know, the model quality on the helicopters is great, but the model quality, the animation quality on the actual little dudes running around the place is dreadful. So why would you in any situation want to emphasize that? You would never do that. And yet all of those rail segments do exactly that. It's like, are you kidding? Why? Why? You're out of your minds. Really stupid design in my honest opinion. I'm thankful that that isn't the majority of the gameplay. If it was, I would definitely be panning this thing. Thankfully it's not, and it's sort of a kind of grin and bear it situation when it comes to the combat. But that sucks. I don't want it to be a grin and bear it situation. I just want it to be this amazing kind of reimagining of Desert Strike. And for the most part, it actually gets that right. It's got amusing music, it's got cheesy as all hell voice acting and script, which is, in this case, actually ideal. That's a really good thing to have. Most of the time I'd say, no, that's bad, but not in a game like this. You know, it's called Thunderwolves, for God's sake. Feel the magic, feel the roar. Alright, there we go. Very nice. It's in some situations a score attack game as well. Very arcadey in terms of getting combos and getting score multipliers and things like that. If I had a wish when it came to the combat, it was that they gave you more secondary weapons. Because once you kind of spammed your rockets away, you kind of have to wait for them to recharge while holding down the main gun. Why is it, as well, that a lot of games seem to decide to have the main gun just be a really crappy autocannon with a relatively slow fire rate and gigantic tracer bullets? I really don't understand that. That's actually not that fun. You want to make a main gun fun? Give me a gigantic Vulcan on the front of this bloody thing. Have it fire extremely quickly, rip its way through stuff. Now that's fun. Hell, give me a laser. You know, give me a sodding laser. That would be nice. Maybe they do that later on in the game, but so far I've seen maybe 3 different kinds of secondary weapons. It's either like rocket pods, guided missiles, or unguided missiles. You can go a little bit more imaginative with that, but again, it could be very much a case that that happens later on in the game. You also get quite a lot of different helicopters to choose from, although I don't think it ever really tells you if there's a difference. Like the Black Shark, for instance, does not handle differently to the Apache knockoff. They all handle pretty much the same, from what I can tell. So either it's... maybe there's something just hidden. I guess we'll find out. I guess we will find out. I'll go into the next mission and see if there's any information whatsoever there in the selection screen. It may be just because I've skipped through it and I just haven't... Uh-oh. Alright, okay, never mind. We're gonna fight Crazy Khalid first before we do that. There we go. Get back to the refinery. Yeah, I'm taking quite a lot of damage from this guy, so... this sounds like a good idea. Where is the refinery? I actually have no idea. Never mind. Oh, whatever, I'll just fight him. Now, you can also press space for this kind of lock-on ability, but the mouse acceleration goes seriously weird when you do that. So I'm not entirely convinced that it's a good feature to have. Also, as you can see, they limit you in terms of the mission area. I hate it when games do this, especially when they take it to extremes. I know, you can't render like 50 miles of terrain in a game like this. That's just silly. I'm not asking for that, but there are so many times in this game where I've run into it, it's like, oh yeah, you're leaving the mission area. It's like, but I'm not even close to the target. How could I be leaving the mission area? I'm like approaching the target, it's like, return to mission area. You kidding me? I can't even get up to where the target is before you kick me out of the mission area? That makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, that is how it is. I think they need to rethink the mission areas and how actually restrictive they are, because it's really not as required as they think it is. It's overly strict. Annoyingly so. And that's less fun to play as a result.
Son of a bitch! Give my regards to the surface when he kills you! Damn it! What's all this about a surface, Mac? You know who he's talking about?
Alright, there we go. So there is a plot, a silly one at that, and some ridiculous voice acting, but hey, there you go. Apparently that wasn't casual difficulty, I should definitely crank that up. Alright, mission 4, blow by blow. I have to actually fly a recon helicopter for this by the looks of it. I'm just going to go back into this for a second and see if I change the helicopter around. Okay, there we go. Right, so the difference, you can see there are statistical differences between the two. I've got to say, like, the difference between the Apache and the Black Shark in terms of maneuverability and speed didn't seem to be that large. But hey, there you go. And there are also some weapon selections available here. I believe in that weapon there are actually some pickups, but I'd be damned if I could find them. That's actually cool, though. The idea that they've hidden... Oh, damn it. Did not mean to do that whatsoever. When you double-click, it takes you in there, though. It's easy to accidentally pull that off. It would have been nice to have a separate button that just says Start Mission. I don't really know what's going on there. So, there is a difference between the helicopters in the sense of what weapon pickups you can get, but weapon pickups in this game almost seem to be like secrets in the sense that they're pretty well hidden, so... I don't think that's the worst thing ever. I actually think that's a pretty cool idea. God bollocks! I was trying to select! Oh, man. And it got me right into that. That's so annoying. Alright, let's rock and roll. Well, apparently this one's pretty timed. Now, as a straight-up arcadey action helicopter game, this is pretty fun. It's definitely not a simulation. There's no real question about that. But it is definitely enjoyable. The speed key really adds to it. Like, if the game didn't have that, I think that the flying while fun would be way, way less cool than it currently is. Because you can hold down the Alt button and then boost in any direction, you can do it frequently, it means that dodging bullets is way, way more fun. There's a bit of motion blur in there, which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't last that long, it's not too extreme, so I guess I can let them get away with it. You know, all credit to them, it is kind of a cool effect. And as a result, you get what is a fun, arcadey helicopter game. But as I said, it does have its problems. The mission areas and the on-rail segments are the biggest offenders. There is no reason for those to be in there whatsoever. Thankfully, they don't take up that long, but it just, to me, when you do that, it shows a lack of confidence in your game. It's the idea that, oh, yeah, our game isn't going to be fun enough unless we mess it up with a couple of gimmicks. No, your game's actually fun. Like, the helicopter combat is fun. Don't get me wrong. It is enjoyable. You can just give me that, and I will be fine with that. I'm trying to keep an eye out to look for some weapon pickups here. Maybe they appear on the radar. I haven't actually been paying any attention whatsoever to the radar up to this point, because you really don't need it. Like, you can definitely see the enemy targets pretty easily, and if you can't, well, you can just sort of level the area until it happens. He says there's clearly one under here somewhere. There he is. Yeah, he's on the top. He has now been dealt with. So I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe I'll see the weapon pickups there, but oh man, the speed that you can fly this helicopter in is actually an absolute joy. Mouse and keyboard controls seem to work well, aside from that weird mouse acceleration issue with the lock-on. But it's, you know, it's fun. It's a $15 experience. Is it fun enough to justify that? And maybe, maybe not. I guess it depends how much you really like arcadey helicopter games and how much you really want to relive the experience of the Strike series. Because even though it's not called Strike, it might as well have been. If they could have got the license. There we go. If you want, like, a sort of corny action game, then I'd still say that something like Renegade Ops is probably a better option. Mostly because it's got more variety, because you're using a lot of different vehicles, there's way more mission area to actually drive around and explore, and it's just generally higher fidelity than this is. But if you want something that focuses on helicopters, you don't usually have that many options, aside from the sim stuff like Black Shark. And if you're not looking for sim stuff, then, yeah, stuff is definitely few and far between. But it's sufficiently challenging. It's got enough good stuff within it for me to say, yeah, I wouldn't ignore that this game exists. It's just such a shame that the bloody on-rail segments actually exist. It's like, come on, you didn't need that. You really, really didn't. Have some confidence in your game, damn it. Like life coaching for developers. There you go, folks. Thunderwolves. God, I'm gonna die horribly. Currently available on Steam, PlayStation 3 and 360 as well, I believe, for $15 or your regional equivalent. Arcade helicopter action. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.